Hey, everybody, what's going on? All right. So, okay, we're going to get started tonight with our very first demo. And this time, like I was talking about in the welcome event, we're going to start by studying live action reference and then starting to understand what's going on and what to look out for, right? Because when I'm actually doing live action reference, it's not about like copying it like exactly frame by frame straight ahead, right? So if you're doing live action reference, what you're looking for is originality. What you're looking for is like these kind of traits that seem to happen, and what to look out for, like when you're actually blocking in your shots. Okay, so the very first thing that I want to show you guys is sort of like a close-up of facial, and what we're going to do is concentrate on eyes, brows, pupils, and sort of subtle head movements. Okay, but first of all, as promised, I want to show you just a real quick. This is basically the kid model that is actually going to be rigged and ready by around week 7 or so. Okay, so we're going to get him this block, and I'm going to show you next week another character that I had designed probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and it was a troll character, and I finally got an email from Lewis, who was rigging him over the last like 5 years, I guess, off and on. I'd kind of completely forgot about it, but he's looking really fun. The only thing is, I mean, I don't want to look like sort of like a copycat, because it was way before Animation Mentor had like their kind of ogre type character. So I don't want to look like, oh, well, I'm just going to release like a troll character like that to compete with them. It wasn't really about that, So this character was designed way before I even saw like Animation Mentor's kind of creature course or whatever. All right, but I'll show you that next week. And hopefully we'll get a final of that. And then we get 2 weeks this week, this block. All right, awesome, you guys. All right, so eye study. So I want you to look at this. So basically what I did was I got my little tripod here, and I got my flip cam, put it on there. It's important to put it on a tripod and not actually hold it in your hand, because your hand can't hold exactly still. So like even if you get your phone, like try to put it like on something completely still. And what you want to do is just kind of move your eyes around. So like in this test, I'm kind of looking down, looking up, looking to the side, and looking to the other side. And I want to see what actually happens naturally. I'm not trying to act out anything. I'm not trying to go for an exact attitude or anything. I'm just looking for motion and seeing what happens. And here's the thing. This is what like the kind of golden rule that you want to keep in mind when you're doing acting shots. Basically speaking, you want the eyes to move first. You want the attitude to change and then the motion. Okay, and you'll see that sort of sprinkled throughout here. So you'll see like sort of like little kind of squints, and then moves in, and then you'll see very slightly before my head actually turns, you'll see like the pupils dart over, and it's always sort of led by the eyes. And the more you can kind of anticipate that, the better your acting is going to feel on the screen, and the more it's going to feel like the character is actually thinking. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So I apologize because I want to look at this really up close, right? So just ignore like the camera puts on like 50 pounds, right? Okay, so let's have a look at this just at real time, right? So and the things I want to look out for are like the pupils' effect on the lids and how fast they actually move. Okay. Okay. So if we go through this frame by frame, what we're going to do, we're going to duplicate this tonight, okay? At least make a good effort at it. So what I'm trying to do is actually see what's actually going on here. So before I actually look down, I actually go from sort of a slight squint, and then probably in my subconscious, I'm thinking, I'm going to look down next. I'm going to see what's down there. So I slightly widen the eye and then dart the eye down. Okay, boom. Okay, so in here, I know the pupil is actually going down because I can see it sort of a little bit of a rim of it right here, right? And usually what happens is like the pupil will actually drive the lower lid and the upper lid, okay, to a certain extent. And so like if you're looking up, like the low lid actually goes up. I'm going to take off my glasses just so you can see. So like if I'm looking straight ahead and I look up, my low lid goes up, and if I look down, my low lid goes all the way down. So there's a huge range of motion there, right? So they're the things that we want to kind of keep an eye out for when you're actually animating, all right? So if you kind of look at where, I'm going to put my mouse basically where my low lid is right there, right? I know my head is actually coming down, but look how far it actually traveled, like from there all the way down to there, right? And then let's count out like the blink, right? So usually the blink, right, we usually have faster to close, slower to open, and it's going to be favoring the top. So it's going to slow out and then come down to a close. And then to give it a little bit more weight, we'll go beyond that and then start to come up and then slowly open and then come back up to the top with a little cushion, okay? So we go down, so like it closes in 1, 2 frames, right? But it's not fully closed here. It's closed, but it's not fully closed, right? Because then we go down even further, right? And then we're starting to slow out and then slow on the way back up, right? And it's kind of, it sort of opens up a little bit fast right here, and then you get a little bit of a cushion right here. And usually what happens is your lid, if you're not really startled by anything, your lid will actually kind of roof over your pupils, okay? So you'll want to get your pupil never to be completely covered over by the lid, because then it'll look like they're drowsy or really sleepy. But if you roof the lid over the pupil, it's going to give it directionality, okay? So I'm looking down here, okay? And then blink, like I know I'm going to look up here, and basically like you can see my pupil just slightly moving, and then it's going to start to move right here, right? And you can kind of feel like this kind of little bulge right here. This is where the actual pupil is making the shape underneath the lid, right? So it's actually directionality. It's going first before the head. Okay, so like boom, and then the head comes up, right? So everything driven by the eye, okay? Okay, let's count out the blink there as well. Because again, like it goes pretty darn fast. It's sort of like a slow and then boom, close, slightly more closed, and then starting to open up, and then open with a little cushion at the end, right? So it's not just blink, blink, you know, it's not that, and it's not like a halfway mark either. Like persistence of vision, if you do like open and then half closed, then closed, then half open exactly again, the same as like on the way down, and then open, you're not even going to see like the actual blink, right? So you have to kind of slow out, boom, and then slow out again, and then up, and then cushion at the very end. That way your blinks will have like a nice little weight to them. And then usually what I do is I close them, and then I go a little further, like as if like the top lid is a little heavier, pushing down the lower lid, and then start to come open, and then cushion at the end to give it a little bit more weight. Okay, and here we go, right? So squint, and then the head move, right? So, I mean, this is something that was taught to me years and years and years ago when I was doing Fantasia 2000, and it was Hendel Butoy, he was the director, and usually what he would say is, if you want to make your character look like you're thinking, stop them moving, like don't move. Don't move. Like as soon as they stop moving, that's when they've actually got a thought in their head, right? So if you stop, squint, and then move forward, rather than squint as you're moving forward or moving forward and then squint, it's much better to precede it, okay? Like get the actual change of action and then move. Well, it'll read so much better, and then it'll feel like the character's actually making that conscious decision, okay? All right, blink again. So in the squint, like I'm not actually covering over the pupil, I'm just covering over the iris part of the eye, right? And notice like I'm not actually like moving really like the corners of my mouth. I'm really just using like the squint, you know, so you can kind of just do that without moving your mouth at all, you know, so it's mainly just sort of moving like this upper area of the character. Okay, blink, see that blink? Slow out, boom. And then a little bit further, right? And then slow out, and then open fast, and then a little cushion at the end. I've got like a kind of a double blink here, so slow again, boom. Right, sort of closed here, and then pushing down. Okay, slow out, open, and then up. And I'm looking to the side here, right? So what would make this actually better, and when we're animating, we want to make it better than life, if I dart those eyes over 1 frame sooner, so that we really see like the eyes go across, because right here, it's sort of happening like slightly before the head, like makes the biggest move, right? Right, so it's darting over in that direction. I blink and then over, okay. And then again, see the eyes darting before like the head makes the biggest move, blink, and I'm back again. And then it's sort of like this little kind of focus thing. So I probably looked at the top of the camera and then looked at the lens right there. Okay. Same thing here. Like I can feel, you can see like you can feel like the pupil moving over to the screen right here, right? Because you can see like that bulge underneath the top lid. Okay, and then over it goes. So you always want to, you never want to kind of like turn with the pupil sort of like in the middle of the eyes. It's going to make them feel really drowsy, right? And then directionality again, you can feel like the eye moving back again. Right, boom, and then to here. Cool. All right, so this is our task for tonight. Okay, so I'm going to look at the properties to make sure I've got the size right. So it's 640 by 360. I'll open up Flipbook, create a new scene here. I got a custom 640 by 360. Okay, so just like we did at the welcome events, click on the background level right here, and I go File, Import, Movie File. So again, like if you weren't at the welcome event, if you're on Windows, you need to download that K-Lite. So it's right here. I'll type it in here, K-Lite Codex. Okay. And this records at, I think it's like 30 frames per second. So I'm slowing it down to 20. Yeah, I say 30 right there. Okay, and then import. Okay, downloading all my images. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to shoot out some PNGs just so I can bring it in as an image plane for my character. Okay, and export out stills. We're going to pick on the BG column up here, so everything's blue, right? And then go to File, Export out stills, PNGs. I'm just going to composite the frame. I don't need transparency on these. If it was drawings, if I was doing drawings on top of a white background, then I would just I would do transparency because I just want to see the drawings and not the white part. Okay, and we'll just call this ref. Okay, I'm going to go to my desktop here. We're going to do iStudy. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder called PNGs and throw those guys in here. Okay, so by doing these kinds of study, especially for me, it really helps to kind of solidify things that I've already known from the past, but it just makes it just sort of like really pop in my brain again. Especially if I'm doing like a more cartoony type show versus a realistic or naturalistic type show. I'll always want to try and work on that side of my brain just so like I can keep myself active in that kind of way. Okay, quit out of this. All right, so for this particular one, even though like obviously I'm a guy, I'm going to use Peggy. Just because I haven't done like a really good close-up of her. I did like an acting shot last block, but I really want to test out her eyes just to make sure that it's getting everything that I really want in there. All right, so I'm going to run Maya 2013. That's still my favorite version of Maya, and it's probably the least Maya that we can actually run all of our characters in. I know we've been creeping our way back up, but 2013 seems to me to be the best one. Seems like it's just a nice version. All right, okay, so now let's go set up the project. So do the set project first. I'm going to put it in that iStudy. Set the project there. Okay, create default workspace, and then I'm going to go to project window and create all these guys. All right, now let's go ahead and reference in our character. So I've downloaded the Peggy rig, and I've got the Peggy eye textures in the same spot, right? So we get the textures in there. All right, I'm going to quit out of my camera just so I've got like the space for my channel box. Okay. And anytime you guys have a question, don't hesitate to shout out. Okay. Make sure you guys get a chance to shout out like as soon as like something comes into your head. All right. So for any kind of close-ups, I'll always flatten the lens a little bit, right? So I'll go view, select camera, and I'll change this 35 to like an 80. This way, like it's a little flatter. This way, like it's not going to be so distorted like when I move the head around. All right. And we'll just kind of keep it around here. Okay. And then let's go ahead and create the what am I talking about? The render aspect ratio. Okay, so under Windows, render settings, under here, I'm just going to create this as the HD 720. Okay. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way. Up here. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's create our image plane. So select the camera and hit Control A for the attribute editor. Okay, right here. And then go down to environment, create, and we get the box. Okay, and then hop into our PNG folder that we created. Pick on any one of these images. There we go. We use image sequence. So I've got everything in there, all right? And then I don't know how long this is, maybe like so like 160 frames maybe. There we go. All right, so it's 148 frames. Okay. Now let's push it backwards. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. And then we'll push it backwards a little bit. Okay, I'm just selecting it and then going to the depth right here, and then we'll put it back to like maybe 1,000. There we go. Okay, and then offset it. Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. All right. So first thing I want to do is like just go in and just set keys on the body, just so I've got like something nice and rough. Because I don't want to just do it like with the head like completely frozen. Okay, so I'm going to pick on one of our controls, and I've got to set the family car shelf to her. Okay, so I'm setting her. Okay, so we got the car Peggy, and now all of this like should select. Okay, so I got select face right there, or select body. Okay, set a key, and what I'm going to do is going to bring up another perspective window and rip it off, tear off a copy of it. So I've got my animation window all set and ready to go. So now I can animate and rotate around in here to make sure like I've got my character balanced and everything. Okay, let's just get these guys down. I'm not really going to use the arms all that much. Might use the shoulders a little bit, but maybe just not the arms. Keep this all about the head and chest and neck. Okay, and for her setup, see, like in default, she's got her head orientating like with the body like this, right? And if you're doing any sort of acting, I would actually change that to be neck space 0. Okay, so like picking on the head right here, it's in neck space 1. I'm going to change that to 0. This way, like when I actually rotate her body, her head is going to stay aligned like this, right? This way, like it'll just feel so much more natural. Okay, so I can rotate her a little bit more forward, and then we'll get her body just slightly leaning this way, maybe. I'm gonna pick on this guy. I just want to see like which way my body is. Okay. Yeah, so a little bit of lean, but maybe we'll go slightly opposite to that. Like we'll go, because I want the head tilt to be that way. So maybe we'll get the body to be rotated the other way. Like maybe this way. And then we'll rotate the body this way. Okay. Slightly up, off to the side a bit. And you can see like I've got the eyes in default, they're actually to the world, and that will give me a lot more focus. It's almost like she's just kind of looking in a mirror, you know. And then I can add the eye darts after that. Because if we keep them just in world space, they can kind of look a little doll-like, right? But we want to just try and get our character looking really appealing. So if we get this kind of tilting this way and this tilting that way, we get that sort of contrapposto kind of angles going against each other. We'll make it feel nice. Okay. And let's make this flatter too. 80, okay. So I'm going to keep my controls here. And you'll see like on her, she's got like the lids controls like this, and then she's got this other one like this. And this is sort of like a squint right here. And she's the only one that actually has this so far. But I kind of want to get this like on all of the characters. So I want to start off with this actual pose. So I'm going to bring like the lids up and just kind of go around the actual pupils. And what I'm trying to do here is see the actual pupil feels like it's the most important because the lid is sort of surrounding it, right? So it feels like this part right here is the widest part of the lids. Like it's narrower here, and wider here. So I want to try to get that kind of a feel, okay? So let's go ahead and rotate this a little bit. And then right here, I'm just going to translate this. And what these lids are so cool because they stay sort of attached. Like, so you can move this kind of around and it'll just stay attached to the actual eyeball, right? So if we just kind of get that just to come around, go a little closer here. And we can rotate these guys as well. Okay, so a little bit like that. And then use like this squint control to kind of bring this guy up a bit. So we get that little bit of a squint on that side, okay? And then the same thing for the top lid. Bring this kind of down. And I'm gonna rotate a little bit this way. Okay, maybe I'm gonna bring this low lid up a little bit further. So when I'm blocking at a shot, like I'll pay a lot of attention to my keys. Like I won't just kind of rough them in and just leave them there. You know, I want to try and work on the keys just enough, like so that like I can really see like exactly what the character's doing, right? And when you're doing like a keys, like think like, can I print this out and just put it on my wall? You know, like each one of your keys should be tweaked, right? So like it's sort of like your storytelling poses. It's like your storyboard. So when you're showing like your keys, it should have all of the thought in there, right? So everything that you're thinking like that you want for the character, that's what should be in here, right? So I want to try and get like, because it's a close-up, I want to try and work on the facial. So you can see like this eye looks so much better than this neutral eye now, right? So I just want to make sure that we get that. I might go a little bit lower, yeah, like that. Cool. All right, and then let's see if we can get the same thing happening over here. So once I get like one position for the facial, I'll leave it there and then kind of rough out the the actual body animation. Okay, grab like this top one up here. Squint this up a bit more. Okay, and then eye direction wise, let's raise it up a little bit. Just so she's really kind of looking through there, right? Okay, her mouth looks kind of cool. I like that. Maybe we can get just a little bit of asymmetry on it. Maybe just bring this side down a little bit. This side up. We'll echo that with the nose, just a slight sneer there. Okay, that's good. All right. Good. We could maybe push this, now that I raised the eye line up a bit, let's push this a bit further. Let's bring both of these guys up a bit. Great, okay. I'm gonna put this on a layer and hide it. Boom, okay. Right, so let's go select all. Now I've keyed up like the facial, so set a key there. Okay, so now what I want to try and do is find my main keys, right? So like, where is the next most important change, right? So basically, probably like around here, like getting the look down, right? And then the pull back, right? So this look down right here is the one that I want to try to find. So around there, I'm going to do a select all and set a key. And then go ahead and I'm going to flip these two so I can see exactly what's happening here, how far I'm pulling back. Okay. Good. All right. So in this vein, I'm going to grab like just the chest. I'm trying to keep like the amount of controls I'm using to a bare minimum, like just trying to use as few controls as possible, especially in the beginning, because I don't want to have to manage like a whole bunch of controls later on. If I can accomplish like the same move with a few controls, then I'm already kind of ahead of the game. Okay, maybe that's too much. We'll get that. Okay, a little bit of rotate this way, a little bit of angle change, right? Okay, good. All right, let's grab the eyes. And I'm in auto key, by the way. So like I'm not hitting S over everything. All right, just in auto key. So I'm just going to grab this and then let's bring it over here where I'm looking down. Okay, and we have like this, the lids sort of following like the eyes, which is good. Okay, so that kind of gets us like some of the way there. And then what I'm going to do is back off a little bit on the squint because I'm looking down, right? I don't want the lids just to be forcing themselves through there. Okay, so I'm picking on the upside down, like kind of half moon shape. Now she does have a GUI, but I tend to like to pick right on the actual character. Okay. Bring that down just a touch further. And then I'm going to bring the low lid down a bit. Okay. let's bring the upload down too. So on here I can bring both of them down. Okay, so we can see like the difference, right? Okay. And then for here, like, do I want to just get this just to rotate a little bit? So it's like it's being pushed down by the pupil over here. And this one over here too. Okay, I'm not touching the brows or anything at this point. I'm really just studying like on the lids and anything that's sort of doing the most amount of motion. Okay, so do select all and set a key. Okay, next. So keep them there, and then back up, right? So like I'm trying to find like the extreme, right? So about there. Okay, select all, set a key. Looking for those major key poses. You can see like there's not a lot of change of angle right here. Just the eyes go right back up. Now, I can use like the angle from here, right, because it's closer to this pose than it is to the angle down. So let's go ahead and copy the eyes from there, right? So if we go to the face picker here, I'm just going to grab these guys right here. Okay, actually all of these, all the way down to there. We'll shift select these guys just so I've got them, and then I'm going to copy those over to 25 and then adjust from here. Okay, and then we're going to go slightly wider because I'm not as squinted. Okay, grab both of them, pull it down, right? So now I'm just kind of roofing like the lower part of the iris, and the same thing on the top. It's a little bit more intense, right? Like that. Okay. So I'm shaping the lid just a little bit, just so I've got that, right? And then let's have a look at the curvature here of the lid on this side. And then I got to do the same thing on this side. Just bring this down a bit. Okay. And we'll take off a little bit more of the squint too, because I'm not as squinted. Because we need to go somewhere, right? And this is where like I'm actually doing the squint before I move forward. Okay, so I'm just going to relax that a little bit there. Okay, flip that. Okay, so we have a little bit of motion going sideways. Okay, we'll have a look at the head here. A little bit of lift. Okay, with the chest, tiny bit of tilt. Like the name of the game with this kind of subtle animation is how much control do we actually have over our character, you know? So how contained can we make it, but still make it feel like it's alive? And a lot of it is to do with the eyes and brows. That's really what the center of attention is, right? So like in here, I'm just going to raise up the brows and slightly. You can kind of see like a little bit happening here and here. Just going to give those a little bit of a raise. Not much though, right? Just a tiny bit. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, and then we get the squint, right? So let's try and find like that squint before we move forward, right? So around here, boom, okay. Select all, so okay. So I'm setting like these pillars like of keys, just so I know like these are the main storytelling poses, right? So like when we do like a quick play blast, we'll have like just our keys only. We'll only want to see like it's stepped out so that it feels like we've got all the information in there, right? So here we could probably actually use like the facial from the very first pose, right? And then go from there because we already have like that squint in there, and then we can push it even further. Okay, so let's go to upside down. Okay, squint that in there. And I'm going to bring the brows down even further. Because you can see, like you can feel it right here, like the brow meat right there, start coming down. Let's really kind of get that going right there. Okay, and here, like I'm kind of tilting my head up, like as I'm squinting, right? So let's see. So it's almost like this is going this way, but my nose is actually going upwards. Let's see, like so, like a tiny little tilt this way and a little tilt this way, right? Because I'm kind of tilting my head to the side because I'm squinting at something, right? Okay, the body is barely moving. Let's just get it to stay connected, right? So we're just gonna get a little bit of tilt happening there. Maybe we'll just counter that just a bit more. So she's a little bit more contained. So I'm looking to create like a small arc in here. Just counter that back a bit. Okay. Good. All right. Select all, select key. All right. Let's find the next golden pose. So coming all the way in, right? So let's see. And then we're kind of stopping around here. Okay. Okay, around there. Okay, select all, set a key. So it's like 17 frames later, right? So let's go ahead and move the body first. So kind of leaning in a little bit, right? And I'm going to raise her up slightly so that she's still kind of getting bigger, right? Okay, we'll get the tilt of the head going even further. So on here, again, just sort of pushing the lids just a little bit further so they've got somewhere to go. So I'll grab the lids. Actually, and I'm going to grab like the squints and the lids together. So I'm pushing both together up. Like that. And then we can see if we can get the the brows and the top lids to come down a touch as well. Keep those connected. Look, we've got something else connected here. Hold on a second. Let me undo that. Okay, get that squint up there. We'll raise this lid up here a little bit, just because there's something asymmetrical about it, and it's fine. But I just want to make sure that we get like everything kind of coming down in here. See the way like this eye looks like it's up and this eye looks like it's down. So it's probably where I would need to just kind of counter this, right, just to get a tilt in there. So it kind of stays tilting with the actual head. Okay, it's better. Bring this back down again. Okay, and then the squints we can probably bring up a little bit further. Kind of pinched them a little bit. Okay. I might back off on that just a little bit, but it feels good to just to kind of push it a little bit further than where I am. So it's really clear what she's doing. Okay. And even here, like I might, like as she's kind of coming forward, I bring these guys a little closer together so we get we get to see like that little bit of force, right? So bring these guys. Good. All right. Select all, set a key. All right. Okay. Okay. And this is where we're going to start to turn. Okay. So we're still there, still there. Okay. And then we want to get like this, just this pose right here, just before the turn. Okay. Okay. Okay, so she's coming forward. We'll keep her coming forward just slightly, just so she doesn't just come to a complete dead stop, right? We'll keep her alive that way, and then we'll have it slightly turn towards where we're going to go. So like that, right? there's a slight relax in the eyes. Okay, so I'm going to grab and in between, okay, because I actually basically want to go back to something like this, right? A slight relax, right? So something like maybe here, right? I'm going to copy the face from there over to there. So it's a slight relax. And then we're going to start to dart over, right? So we go from there to there, we get a blink, and then it hits over to here, right? So now let's get the pose where we're fully turned, right? So I can feel like my nose sort of hitting right there, and that's where I want the pose to be. So we can really figure out like the timing of that head turn to make it feel nice and natural. Let's get the body first. Keep that connected, right? So just get a little rotation out of here. And if you watch my neckline, it actually comes back this way. So we get this sort of like opposite action kind of feel. So basically, like we want to get like the shoulders just come slightly that way while the head turns. Up this way, right? Okay, I'm going to move myself over so I can see it. We get a slight raise up. Okay, we'll get this brow slightly higher than this one, right? So it's just basically tilting this way. Okay, let's move the eyes. We'll zero out that rotate and move it over. Okay. And here I'm going to raise up the top lids, like, because she's observant, right? She's just kind of looking over to the side to see what's over there, right? So just kind of raising these lids up a bit. I mean, she's not really relaxing, so but we'll just kind of get like a tiny bit of that. And then usually what I do is I'll get like this sort of directionality happening with the brows too. So like I'll try and raise this up slightly so that we get this asymmetry going on. But it goes with the way that the actual brows are angled, right? So if she's looking this way, get the brows and everything kind of going that way. Okay, I'll relax the squint in here. Just relax it a little bit. She's just kind of looking off to the side. She's going from that to that. Okay, so you get this kind of nice feel, like where like the shoulders and body are tilting this way while the head is turning that way. So you get this opposite action kind of feel. It's kind of cool. Okay, select all, set OK. All right, next. So it's holding there, and then we're just trying to find like that window of time, like for how long we're going to be in that pose for, right? And seeing how much motion's there. So we're turning this way, and we're going to move in that direction that we actually start tilting it, right? So that's the way sort of moving holds work. You don't want to change direction of the moving hold. You want to basically go in the direction that you're you're traveling in. So if I'm turning this way, I'm going to go slightly more that way, and you have a little bit more tilt, okay, because I'm going in that general direction. Okay, just ever so slightly, and then the same thing with the body. We'll get that to rotate around just ever so slightly, and then rotate back and in Z2. So we get that little bit of drift. Okay, now back off a little bit on the X tilting right there. So we just get that. Okay, and I can see like there's a slight widening of the eye. Like I'm kind of like not finding what I thought was there, basically, right? So just a slight widening. Like it's not like I'm shocked or anything. I'm just ever so slightly, just kind of opening my eyes. Okay, grab the eyes right here. Open those up slightly. Maybe we can get a tiny bit more tilt. And Z. Okay, good. All right, select all, set OK. All right, next. So try and find like the spot where I'm kind of coming to a stop. So I can find like the speed of that head turn. And it's sort of like where that motion blur almost finishes, right? That's where we want to set a key. So around there. So I'll set a key, and then flip it. So not a lot of motion happening, but it's very, very subtle, like in the chest. So we'll just kind of get it going in the direction of the head turn, right? So just ever so slight rotate in the direction that we're looking at, right? So we're turning this direction, so we'll get a little bit of rotation that way. That way it doesn't feel like the neck is completely disconnected from the body. Keep it connected. Okay, so we get the turn, and we get the head tilt. This is almost the same pose as the beginning. So let's go ahead and grab the selected face right there, and we'll grab the eyes probably from here. Okay. Pretty close. Okay, here I'm just going to bring the eyelids just down slightly. Okay, we'll keep that feel, right? Okay, select all, set a key. Okay, find like the slow in, so slight going this way, keep going, right? And then it has a little bit of a tilt over, right? So finish like the move and then go across, okay? So there. Okay, select all, set a key. So usually in your work, you don't want to break the fourth wall, but this sort of stuff is more for studying animation, for studying like what's going on, like with the eyes and the brows and how subtle head moves are, you know, the body, like what kind of rotations do we have there, what's the timing of it. So all this stuff goes into your memory banks for when you're starting to animate like your acting shots. So we're doing something kind of subtle this week, but like next week we'll do something very, very broad, and maybe we'll test out the troll character for that. Okay, so a little teeny tiny adjust with the eyes. Okay, little rotation with the body. Again, just to keep it connected, because you can see, like, if you're watching in this window right here, you feel like it just disconnects right there because like the body just completely stalls out, right? So we'll just get a little bit of rotation happening just to keep it connected. Okay, select all, set a key. And then we get this little bit of a tilt over, right? So let's go ahead and hit that in there. Okay, so tilt with the body. Looks good, okay. And then we get the tilt with the head. Super subtle, okay, good. All right, and then we get the little arc and head turn right here, right? So again, just kind of looking for where like that motion blur kind of comes to a stop, so somewhere around there. Okay, boom, hit that. Okay, and then grab the eyes, get them over here. And again, I'm going to use the same sort of thing. So I'm looking in this direction. So I want to try and make like this brow just slightly higher, just to give it that directionality. And then what I'm trying to do is, like the ends of the brows, I'm trying to marry those two a little bit too, so they feel like they're connected. It doesn't have to be like this, you know, to go like that. It just has to sort of feel like it could be connected this way, right? So you get this kind of eye mask happening. So in here, I'd like to be able to get just a bit more sternness, like as I'm looking around this way, because now like the curiosity is kind of getting the best of me, right? So now I'm kind of going, what is that over there? It wasn't in the other direction, but now I want to see it over here. So here, go ahead and rotate this in the same direction. I'm going to raise it up a little bit. And this guy, I'm going to tilt over as well. I'll tilt that way. Okay. Maybe like in here, we'll get, I don't want to go too far with it. Maybe just kind of raise this up slightly more. Okay, good. So the key. Okay, so now like, again, want to keep like everything connected. So you kind of see like a little bit of rotation happening there. So let's go ahead and put that in. A little rotate. And a little bit of tilt this way. Might be slightly too much rotate. Okay, good. Okay, select all, set a key. All right, next pose. So like just find like the end right there is just before we start to change direction. So somewhere around there, 132. Select all, set a key. So again, just continue that for the moving hold in the same direction that we started going in. Okay. We're going to rotate this guy. Okay. And the same thing with the body, just getting that slight rotation. So for the ultimate control, like I go into the graph editor, but like just for when I'm blocking stuff in like this, I just want to do it by eye, just so I can get like the right angle that I want. Okay, and then let's see what happens next. I hit Q over this window just to make it active again without deselecting anything. Okay, and then back again, right? So this, hit, and then back. So somewhere around 143. Okay, now set a key there. And I'm going to sort of use, because there was another key that we could use, like probably like this one, maybe this one, maybe that one. I'm going to key that at 143, just for the head angle and everything. And then we can adjust from there. Okay, I'll bring her forward again. Actually, I'm going to copy the body from here to here, because it is really similar to that. And I'm just going to keep it connected again, just the opposite way. Okay, and then let's lower down the top lids. And the brows. Okay, good, and then that's it. All right, and then we'll just set a key at the very ends, just for the moving hold. So we're keeping that slight bit of rotation happening. Okay, a little rotate. A little bit of tilt. I'm going to make the plus sign bigger, just so I can have a little bit more control over it. There we go. good. All right. Let's get the head so it turns a little bit more. Okay, so select all, set a key. All right, so now I want to go into the graph editor because I've been animating in auto spline, right? And I want to set this to step tangents, but I'm going to save because I've been saved since we started. Okay, so under scenes, let's go to blocking. Okay. Okay, I'm in step tangents, and now we'll do like a quick play blast here. Right, so like pick on this window, make sure it's that one, and I will do a little play blast just to see if everything's kind of reading, right? If everything, like the timing and like the squints and everything has to feel like it's appealing, right? And when I'm doing a play blast, I don't want to see like the live action reference. I want to see basically just the character, you know. I want to see like because I don't want to be distracted by what I'm actually doing. I want to make it look good for her, right? Good. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. There's a certain kind of vulnerability with this character. There's some poses like that feels really strong. That feels like she's really squinting. When she turns over here, she almost feels a little worried here, which is kind of nice. And I think it's because of the angle of the lids, because they're higher, sort of like in the middle, and angle out to the sides. So it's making her giving her a little bit of vulnerability in here. You know, here it doesn't. She doesn't feel too worried. And this one feels okay. This doesn't feel as worried because this part right here is higher on the outside. If I turn this to be higher and this to be lower, then it would feel more worried, right? So you can see like in here, like if I just rotate this one to be lower here and higher here, it wouldn't feel as worried. So it's kind of interesting. All right, good. So a couple of more breakdowns. So I go ahead and I do a select all, and we'll go ahead and do like the auto spline. Okay. Now before like I do like the like just to see the computer's in between, so I don't want to see those yet. I need to like set a couple of breakdowns in here so that we set up the windows of time, right? So each pose I've got to ask myself how long is it going to be on the screen for, and how fast is my transition going to be? So if I'm looking at the live action reference, I want to see like where do I move? And it's basically somewhere like around here, right? I want to see like where is the most amount of motion happening, right? So it's like this is basically where the tilt happens. So my window of time is really 1 to 8 for that first pose, right? So I could probably go to frame 2 because I want a little bit of motion, and then key this, like middle mouse on frame 8 and set a key on everything, right? So I want the whole thing, right, for 8, okay? And I'm just looking at the body now, right? So I might just have like that little bit of rotate back, okay? Because I can feel myself rotating back, but my head hasn't really changed that much angle, all right? So I'm just gonna grab this and just start to move back. Okay, so we get that little bit of pull back this way. and then a slight, very, very slight tilt on the head, like as if like I'm going to start to rotate down into that pose. Ever so slight, right? So like in Z, boom, that's it, that's all. Maybe that's even too much, because I want to stay in that pose. And then maybe a little bit of X. Okay, so I'm using like the computer in-betweens, like just so I can get that feel, right? Probably want to pull back a little bit further here, so it doesn't feel like a complete take. Like we could probably go ahead and just grab like this and just in between it like that. Okay, good. Okay, now facial wise, like I want to keep it there, and then I want to see like where the blink is actually going to happen. Okay, so let's pick on the face. Okay, I'm going to key 1 to 5. We'll hold on that for the time being. Like I know like we got like this low lid coming down, but let's just kind of keep that till afterwards. I want to find like the blink, right? So here, slow, and then boom, blink. It's coming down to the blink, and then there's the real blink. So that's the pose that I really want. Okay, and then I'm going to use this as my opportunity to dart the eyes down. Okay, so like they're going to be in this position, like they're going to be in this pose. So I'm going to copy that back to 8. So I'm on 13, and then middle mouse on frame 8 with the eyes selected, and then hit S. Okay, so now they jump down to there. Now I need to get the lids to come down, right, for that blink. Okay, so I'm looking at like these poses. I'm trying to say, okay, where are my breakdowns? Where's everything happening? Like these are the most extreme poses. So I just want to get like that blink to be down, right? So we get the blink, and then it starts to come up this way. Okay. I'm going to get the low lid come up slightly. Right, so there's a little bit of connection there. Okay, that's good. And for this, like we could probably even just add like the slightest compression, like a little bit of drop down with the brows, just so like they're brought to life. Like it doesn't have to be super, super forceful, just a little bit of a compression. Like that, okay? So now we have this, and then we have the blink, and then that they're coming down, right? So in here, I probably want to keep like the eyes back there, right? So I'm going to grab on 5 and copy that to 6, okay? Just middle mouse on 6. So like they're still there, and I'm going to start to move them just ever so slightly. Start to move them in that general direction. Okay, so bring them down, and then you blink, and then they're down. Right, so I'm trying to create like a little bit of a slow out of this pose, right? So I'm slowing out of this, hit, and then we're slowing into this position, okay, by using the blink, okay, and the head turn, boom, okay. Okay, now, head turn wise, like we want this like transition, and we want like the big kind of pullback. We want that to continue on, right? So we need to find like that next pose, right? The next pose before we look up here. So we need to find like the moving hold, right? So we're in here, and then it starts to move up into that pose. So round 19. Okay, so I'm going to copy 13 to 19, okay, to create that window of time. So it's going to boom, hit down to there, and then we need to move back. Again, sort of moving back in the same direction that we came into that pose in, right? So boom, and then I'm going to just move back slightly. Okay. And then for the head, It's just coming down and then a slight tilt in Z, right? Just a very, very slight tilt in Z. I don't want to make it too swimmy, but we want to see that, we want to feel that change of direction before we change up to here, right? So it's almost like we're going slightly opposite, and then we're changing direction nicely here to break that up. So it's not going to feel too swimmy. Okay. Okay, good. And then for the lids, we could, it's going to open up, right, from here, 8 to here. So let's see how many frames are closed. So I probably want to go ahead and like copy. Actually, I'm just kind of looking at these poses here. That feels pretty right on, actually, like as far as like the timing goes. Well, let's try to get like this timing just to be a little sharper. So it's going to be a little bit more favored to the bottom on 9. Okay, so like right here, just favor that to the bottom for the top lids. And then we're going to come up a little faster right here. That's good. Here, that's good. We might just open a little slightly faster. Okay, and then we have like that little slow out, little cushion right there. Okay. Okay, now we need to get this blink in here, right? So again, 2 frames, boom, to there. Okay, so just do a select all and set a key. I just taken what the computer is giving me here because I want to use some of that. I want to use like some of the in-between that they actually have right there. Okay. So we'll allow that to drift up, and then we'll bring these blinks down over 2 frames. So it hits down. And then I'm just going to tilt the head down a little bit, just so it has a little bit more force as well. So it's here, and then we're kind of sort of like anticipating it. So I'm just going to bring it forward slightly down. So we have that tiny bit of an arc coming up to here. Okay, scrub through there. Good. Okay, so we need to find like that window of time in here where we get the eyes widening before they come into that squint, right? So let's try and find that pose. So somewhere around here. Okay, I'm going to do a select all, set a key. So we let it drift like right here, but I'm going to get the face from 25, and I'm going to key that at 31 because it's sort of like it's going to there, but we actually want it to keep it going, right? I don't want to like squint it straight away. We want to make sure that we have a nice transition into that. Okay, see, like right in here, I want to get that to come forward, and then we get that little bit of an angle change right here, right? So let's keep her coming forward in Z, right? And X, whoops. That. And then we have that tiny little bit of an angle change here. I'm moving too much in Z here. Yeah, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger just so I have a little bit finer control. Okay, good. start coming to there, and then I want to just allow the eyes to get a little bit wider to anticipate like what's actually happening, right? Like even though like my eyes they're sort of like almost like coming back down into the squint already, but I want to like keep her. Whoops, what do I want to do there? I must have done something. Hold on a second. Da, da, da. Here we go. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So what was I doing? Okay. Yeah. So I want to get the eyes just to go slightly wider here. Just almost like to anticipate like the squint. So I want the eyes to have somewhere to go, right? Just I mean, I'm talking fractionally, right? So just a little bit of widening there before we push against it into that. Okay, so scrub through there. Okay, now let's see how fast do they actually get from there to there, right? So it's kind of holding, and then I can see the pressure right there, right? So facial wise, I want to try and get that window of time because I don't want to let it drift like over so many frames because that's where the sort of computery looking animation happens, right? So I want to just kind of grab the face, okay, not the body, just the face, and then copy that to 36. Okay, so it's basically like holding in that position facial wise, and then we get into the squint. Okay, and then because we have like that little bit of a moving hold, like you can feel like it's actually pushing against it, right? You can feel like it's not hitting like at an invisible wall, right? Now the brows, I could probably go in and just say, okay, like around 43, like that's where we probably want to hit like another breakdown, just so it goes beyond that a little bit more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab like somewhere maybe here, just for the face. Maybe right there, and copy that back to 43. This way, like I'm getting like beyond that already. Now that might be a little bit fast. Yeah, it feels like it's too fast. Okay. But face-wise, I can maybe just drag that back over here. So the brows just feel like it's happening, like they're kind of pushing in just a bit too fast right here, especially this one. Okay, and I want to get that nice snap in the head too, like over those few frames. So like we want to keep it back here, right? So we want to go, okay, yes, I'm tilting my head. So we get that nice little snap in there. Okay, so the key there. Okay. Okay, like this brow right here. Let's bring this back a bit. Just feels like it's traveling too far inwards. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, and then we get the little blink in here. Right, so we're going to hold over here. We've got this tiny little moving hold happening, like right through here. So it's coming forward, and then we get this little bit of a moving hold before we start to move over that way. Where it's almost like we come forward, and then we get like this little bit of a head shake. So it's almost like right in here. Like this feels great. And then we got like that little bit of a turn, boom, right there. Okay, let's do a select all to the key so I can see like the whole, how much it's moving, right? Okay, I'm not really changing the Z tilt of the head. I'll start going across in Y, okay? And then for the body, let's see what's happening. So we're just kind of coming forward. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. And then let's see, we have the blink right here. Okay. Let's go ahead, set a key. Get the blink of the eye. Now, am I staying like in the sort of squint? Kind of am, right? Like just for this part right here. Like I want to keep my brows sort of in this mode. So let's go ahead and select a face. I'm going to copy that onto 68. So whenever I'm like trying to break down animation, like I'm trying my best to see how can I steer clear of like the really swimmy kind of smooth animation, right? I'm always trying to find like where can I favor the poses? How can I like hold on a pose for a little bit longer? And why does it feel better like in step mode than it does like when it's all on ones? And it's just a matter of like favoring your timing, right? Favoring the poses either one way or the other rather than letting the computer do all of the in-betweens, right? So I'm just bringing these both down here. So that's like the top lid pushing the bottom lid. Okay, boom, like that. And we get this little bit of a tilt happening here on the head, which is already happening, right? Because of the breakdowns. Okay, get that. And a slight rotation in Y. This feels good. Okay, let's see how many frames. So when I get the facial, right? Just the face from 62 and key that on 66. So it's the same, right? Then we blink over 2 frames. And then we start to open up right here. Okay. So I'm going to copy the face from 68 to 69. And then we can see like pretty clearly like what's going on with the eyes. Like it feels like the lids are starting to come back up. So it hits hard right here, but then they don't open up fully. Like they're just sort of like opening up. Whoops. That's the squint. These guys. That one and that one. That one and that one. Okay. And then start to open up. Now I could probably drag like the low lids just down a little bit because they're going to start to open. Okay. Okay, so we hit hard, open up like to 73. Okay, so let's grab 79, hit that at 73. Okay, the brows I can probably keep down. And then start to raise them up here. Okay, so I'm going to keep them down. I'm not going to raise them up here. This is where I'll raise them. Okay. So I'm starting to relax the squint here a little bit. I'm wondering, like, should I keep it here? Because it feels so strong, right? So let's keep it. Keep like the low lid and the squint. Keep it in there. From here and here. And then we can relax it like as she changes direction like there. Yeah. Okay. So I don't want the low lid to go down here. I want to push down by the up lids, right? So I'm going to copy 66 to 67, right? Keep the low lids there and then let them be pushed down. Boom, like that. So it feels like there's a little bit more weight to it. Okay, and then there's that double blink, right? So 75. Let's grab the lids and the squinters. These guys. Okay, so back to here. Copy that to 75. Because it's basically the same pose, right? We'll just go down a tiny bit further. And the same thing. Key in there, right? So we get that nice bounce, right? Bounce. Okay, and then they open up, and then they're starting to dart over. Okay, so this is where like we want to try to get the eyes just to go a little bit before, right? So I'm just going to try to get them just to start that motion over, okay? Like that, okay? And then hit that blink. Like we're blinking because we're changing focus, like from very, very broad, right? Like it's going from one side of the room to the next. So it's always way more comfortable if you blink into it. Okay, so keep them open, open. And then we'll blink over 2 frames. Blink. I'll open them up a little bit higher, right there, blink. Okay, and they're closed for a few frames here, right? Because it's taken a while just to rotate around. Okay, so I'm going to copy the eyes from there. Okay, so I've copied that to 84. Okay, and then how fast did he open? So fairly fast. It's like boom, right? One, and then they have this kind of cushion. Okay, so let's go ahead and open them here, and then I'll just back off on the top lids to allow for the cushion. Okay, and even the low lids, I'm just gonna just goes up a little bit further, and then allow them to open up like that. Okay, let's hit like a breakdown here, because I don't want to like have like a really slow head turn here. So I want to make sure that the head and body feel like they have a breakdown in there. Okay, this feels pretty good. Maybe we can set just another key, just so it doesn't in between into that next pose too quickly. So favor over here. Okay, so we get that, and then it can rotate around to there. And then I want to hit like this little arc, right? I want to go a little bit further down with the head. Okay, so I'm going to just select all, set a key. And then for the head, let's tilt it down a little bit. So I'm leading sort of like with the top of the head a little bit. So we get this arc with the nose. And we'll favor it back a little bit here. Okay. We get the nice fast head turn. Okay. And then the breakdown here, so we need another blink right there. Okay. So let's do a select all, set a key there. Get the blink going. So the eyes, I'm going to get to start to move over here. Okay, so I'm going to copy 109 to 102. So they start going over here. I'm just going to back off a little bit on that. So just so that they have a bit of an arc. They feel like they're moving over in this general direction. And then we can go in on the lids and bring them down. Okay. I'll bring like these guys up. Okay. So starting to move, click. Okay, we'll keep them closed. We'll go one step further, right? We'll get that little bit of weight. Get them down a little further there, here. Oh, okay. We get the eyes just moving over a little bit further. Okay, and then here, this is where, like as soon as we open the eyes, they have to be in the spot, right? So I don't want them to be drifting around. Okay. So we hit there, and then we'll have that little eye dart. Okay. And then our blink in here. So again, it's kind of nice to get those two-frame blinks in, because it just gives it a nice little snap to the subtle animation, right? So like even though the head moves are kind of slow and subtle, like the fast little snappy blinks will really help to break that up. Okay, blink. Okay, and then we'll get the eyes darting over as well. Okay. So hit that. Blink, right? Head-wise, I can feel like this little arc happening again, this little dip. Okay. And then coming up into there. Okay. So let's see how many frames. So we got to get another frame of blink in here. Okay, blink and then open. Let's say like where does it open? So it's basically right there, right? So when I open it, it's just a little bit faster. So it hits up to here, and then we get the cushion after that. Okay. All right, and then let's get the window of time after this. So I want to like favor this pose before we do that big move, right? So let's see, where is it? Somewhere around here, maybe. I'll set a key. 135. Okay, I'm going to go to 133 and key the whole thing at 135. This way, like I'm just getting like that little bit of motion, little favor. And then we'll get the pullback, right? Again, just I need another blink, right? Because I'm changing focus. Okay, so 137. Do select all, set a key. We'll get the pupils to move as well. Get those guys acting first. Okay. Many frames of blink, so it's like it's one. I mean, this frame is really a blink, right? So we want to try and get like that to kind of favor down. So I get it to be sort of like fast blink, so it's like slightly motion blurred, right? So we'll do that, okay? Blink, okay, and then we'll get the slow out, right, which we already have, okay? And then that's it, okay? So let's have a look. So this is our first pass, right? So let's go ahead and save this. We'll call it first pass. Okay. Any questions, you guys, so far? Is it all making sense? Hopefully you guys are still with me. All right, good. Awesome. Okay, I'll make it like half size just so it'll play a little bit more real time for us. You get like a really nice sense of like those eyes really leading the action, right? I mean, especially like in the little kind of squint and like those little blinks in there. And I really like the little eye dart. Like there's a little bit of a weirdness like going on here with the brows. And that was me kind of messing about in there, but we can kind of sweeten that up a little bit. See the way like kind of come in and then go out and then go back in. So we just need to figure that out. It feels like this brow here is the one that's acting like crazy, right? We can really see like the power of using some live action reference just to get that natural kind of feel, right? And then I mean, we learned so much like from just doing this little simple test. And it, you know, you can take this like, and then like all of our blinks from now on are going to have like that really nice feel because we get that nice snappy, fast to close, slower to open. We get like the 2 frame in the blink and a little bit fast, like 2 frames just to go from open to close. Cool. All right. Questions. What do you think about using Twee Machine? You know, we have it in work and I've never used it. I just never really seen like a reason for it. You know what I mean? Like I know like everybody loves it, but usually what I try to do is like nothing is like a direct in between for me anyway. And I know the Twee Machine, like you can use like a third or an eighth or anything like that. But usually I want to see the actual pose. I just go ahead and key it, you know. So like I usually, you know, saw me going from like say there was a key at 30 and 45, and I want to favor that pose, so I just go to 31 and then middle mouse on frame 40, and then I've got like my favor, you know, so now I know it's going to be really slow and then fast, right? So I just never really use it. And here's the reason why, because in a lot of the bigger studios, they don't like to bring in outside programs, right? Or software or any sort of scripts, because they want to build it themselves and they don't want to have to pay for licenses, and they really don't want to have to give credit to anybody. But some of the actual software that we use, like at DreamWorks, it's their own proprietary software. They can't use the scripts, and I don't want to get so used to something that that I can't use it like whenever I go, you know. Because if I use like an outside piece of software, no matter how good it is, and we use like the EB Labs tools, and that's fantastic. But if I go to another studio, I need to find a different workaround for it, you know. So there you go. Abdul, do you tend to adjust the timing after the step to get more exaggeration in the face? And yes, sometimes like I'll get it to a certain point, and then I'll just kind of grab this, and then I go, burp, take it off, you know, and now I just concentrate on this, you know. So like if I really wanted to get like extra stuff in there, you know, so like right in here, maybe we get a little bit more compression, you know, like in the actual brows. So like I'll go from here, and instead of like just kind of staying like with the brows like this, maybe we get a little extra compression and then go a little bit higher over here, you know, so we just get a little bit more attitude out of it. So yeah, so like what I try to do is like grab as much as I can out of the reference, and then I want to make it better than life now. I want to make it like more extreme, more appealing, more expressive, you know, not necessarily like more snappy or more exaggerated, but it's more just trying to get like more appeal out of it, you know. So like if I was doing like this for an actual shot, like in a feature film, I'd show the live action reference, and then I would show like the stepped blocking test, and then I would show like this version, like where it's all sort of on ones, right? So like I can give like the director or like the supervisor, whoever, like time to collaborate on it, because I don't want to just say this is it, my way or the highway. In a feature film, you've got to be able to work with a lot of people, right? And it's not just your movie; it's like everybody else's movie. But like for these like study kind of assignments, like I like to bring them like as far as I can, and then I just sort of like file it away, you know, file it away for the future, like Dave said, you know. So these kinds of tests are fantastic for learning, like as much as you possibly can out of your live action reference. And you'll see like when we take like a broad shot next week, like I really want to try and do, I mean, it's going to be something a little bit more, well, it'll be a lot more complicated than this, but we'll see like live action reference as far as like turning, jumping kind of thing. And because I want to, you know, something really, really broad for this troll character that we've got that I want to test out. So like I want to really try and get like something nice and broad, and almost like Hulk-like, you know, because he's kind of that sort of proportion. All right. But yeah, so like, I mean, this is sort of like one of those, like after I get my live action reference, then I like to be able to go in and say, okay, what can I do here to really kind of push these brows, or, you know, make sure like that the brows like aren't swimming around like in that one little section, you know, like the part where the brow kind of went in and out. Over here, let me show you. Boom. Copy this over to there. Okay, so right in here, like there was this little section where like the brow kind of came up and down, and it's like, so like I feel like it should be in this mode. Don't go up right here. I copy that to there. Okay, so coming into that, and then maybe we can bring both of them down together just so they feel a little bit more connected, maybe even slightly in, right? So we get that, and then we go ahead and copy that to there. So we're working from the same sort of pose. Okay, grab these guys too. Copy that to there. And keep it there. Keep it there. I'm not going to like back off on it. Keep it there. And then keep it there. So like it's not diluting the actual pose. Like, and then here, this is where we can just come up a little bit because we're starting to open out. But like let's come straight up though. Like instead of actually coming out, let's just bring them a little bit further up. And slightly out because we're relaxing. So when the brows come up, we can do that, right? And then we get this little kind of downward motion right here. And then maybe we can make that a little bit snappier so that we hold that pose. So maybe we can go to 73, key that to there. Go slightly higher here, maybe. And then we can get that little downward motion right here. Keep it compressed. And then come up into that. So that would make it a little bit more snappy and almost a tiny bit cartoony, you know, like because we're getting so broad with the actual brows. Like right in here, like maybe a little bit more compression here, like as we kind of lead into the head turn, like right in here. Okay. And then we didn't do like a pass on the mouth at all, but that's sort of like, you know, this whole study thing was just for our eyes, right? So like we can actually just kind of hit play on this and see how it feels. Cool. So if I was doing it like for the mouth, we could utilize like this control right here, which gives us a nice little squash and stretch kind of feel. So like if I'm doing like this squint, right? Like we bring this up, squint first, and then we'll maybe compress this up a little bit. So we get like a little compression happening here. Like keeping the same sort of expression. Right? We just kind of get like this kind of pushing in. Right, so we copy that to there. Copy. 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 And even here, copy that. And then this is where we maybe even compress a tiny bit more and then let it relax into that. And then if I was going to do like any sort of expression change, it might be in here, like to kind of get like a little bit of an open mouth right here. Right, to go with that vulnerability, right? So maybe here we drop like the corners of the mouth just slightly. Okay. But yeah, I mean, this is where like the joy of this stuff comes in, right? So like grabbing like all these stuff. And I just want to copy that to there. It's like being able to layer this stuff in. And then, you know, then we can go ahead and compress it again, right? It's like all these little controls that you can use. Like this is just like for the chin, just to make her a little bit more, less chin. Okay, cool. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right. And then other little things that I probably would add, like is maybe like in these holes right here, just like boom, boom, right here. I might like add just a little bit of up and down kind of eye dart, you know, where we get the, like this sort of like change of focus, right? So it's like we land right there, right? But like 2 frames later, like maybe we just kind of have a slight eye dart, hold for a few frames, right? And then eye dart back up. Just over a couple of frames, just so you get to see a little bit more life in there. And then we get to see that hit. Okay. Okay, get that eye dart right there. And then maybe we can dart over just a little bit sooner before the actual head turn, you know, so maybe just kind of like dart and then we go into the blink. All right. Making sense? Making sense, everybody? Awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Great. Well, I cannot wait to do this this next demo for you guys next week. It's going to be so much fun. Let me just go ahead and do one more play blast here. So the key for this stuff, like especially when you're doing live action reference, is not to do it like completely straight ahead, right? If you do it completely straight ahead, you're going to end up like with a lot of little pops and glitches. So if you can just hit the main keys first, that will save a lot, right? So yeah, keeping those eyes alive. Cool. All right, you guys. Fantastic. So welcome to iAnimate, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. And remember, like if you have any questions whatsoever, definitely contact me or your instructor, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But literally, do not like wait more than 10 minutes, right? If you're stuck on something, don't hesitate to post to the community or to fire me off an email. All right. Awesome, you guys. Have a fantastic week, and we will see you next Wednesday. All right. Take care, guys. All the best. Bye.